All right, diving back in. Clavier's about to call a decisive witness. Are we ready?
No. April 19th, 11:37 a.m., District Court, courtroom number 7.
Court is now back in session.
During our recess, a bullet was found and dug out from the clown's head.
Well, this is news. And the rifling marks?
There wasn't any time to do a detailed analysis. Though they did find the weapon type matches the murder weapon.
Well, that's not very conclusive, is it?
Which is why I'm about to call my very decisive witness. Your decisive witness? How many times have I heard those words? Though they often turn out to be far less decisive than you think.
I'm gonna apologize in advance.
I'm so worried. Oh, don't worry on my account. I'm quite confident that... Don't worry on my account. I'm quite confident this witness will do the job. After all, he is intimately acquainted with the players in our little production. Being the other half of Troupe Grammarye's famous duo, Zach and Valen. Mara!
I'm sorry.
Tide!
I was like, oh no.
Valen Grammarye.
Oh my god.
So we get to meet the great Magnify's other disciple. I am baby!
Yeah, baby face.
Perhaps we'll start by asking your name and occupation. Valen Grammarye, magician.
And you're the decisive witness, are you? You can prove your fellow student, your partner's guilt?
Fate, the grand illusion, filled with traps and tricks. Wait, the shooting took place in the hospital after 11 o'clock at night. If you were a witness, does that mean you were there that late? If one were to deduce this logically, the conclusion is yes. Okay. I always get the characters, don't I? Yeah, it's a video game.
Yeah.
I have an interesting fact for you. You see, several days before the crime, my witness received this.
That looks very familiar.
Wait. That's the same letter Zach Grammarye received. Yes, or perhaps I should say, ta-da! Wow, those boots!
Woo.
Order, order, order. And what does it say? Not the same thing.
Perhaps you should see for yourself.
Yep, it's the same thing.
Why, it's practically the same. The court accepts this into evidence.
Magnify's letter 2 added to the court record.
This is most unusual. Exactly what was going on with you folks?
Wow, I didn't know the judge was so progressive.
What exactly was your Troupe Grammarye up to?
By which you mean...
I'm just having a trouble envisioning a man who would ask his students to kill him. Both of them, no less.
It's just my opinion, Herr Judge. But from these letters, I'd say he was coercing them, not asking them. We walked the magician's path together, and in so doing, shared much of our lives. When people are so close, there is a strain, a warping of relations, as you might say. Yet this has nothing to do with the case at hand.
That's what Zach said.
Yeah, I cannot believe that line. By which you mean you're not going to tell us. Which makes me wonder what even more about this reason they couldn't refuse.
Well, let's get on with the testimony for starters. The defendant, Zach Grammarye, stands accused. Tell us why.
Oh, I'll do more than that. For where he walks, the red roses rise, singing hymns to the miracle that is magic. Fascinating. Though I hardly need to remind you. that the evidence could just as clearly point to you as the suspect. The letter, the murder weapon, and now the 2 bullets found at the scene.
In fact, the only difference seems to be the designated time.
Ha 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 ha! As every magician knows, timing is everything. Yes. And now it's time to get this party fired up.
The night of the crime.
That night, I visited the hospital room at the time Magnify requested. The smell of gunpowder hung in the room, and my mentor had taken his final bow. I did not imagine my fellow student might have received the same instructions. Yet a deal with the dead is still a deal. Death's sweet kiss. I gave it to the clown. Then I informed the doctor and the police.
So you were the one who reported the crime?
Indeed, I would think. This fact alone would clear my name of suspicion. Let's not jump to any conclusions.
Yes, the cross-examination generally comes before the conclusions in this court.
Does it?
But if your testimony proves to be true, then the defendant, Zach Gramerai, is guilty.
And if it wasn't Zach Gramerai, then the killer was you, Valent. And no disappearing act will get you out of that.
Okay.
I really hope Valent killed someone. That's exciting.
Oh, now you like him.
I've always liked Valent.
Valent's great. I like
I thought he was overwhelming, but I've liked him.
Okay, so the 4th one, I think, he's telling us that he did it to the clown.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna press that.
Mm-hmm. There were two bullet holes at the scene, one in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you? No doubt my partner Zach has said much the same thing. Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed murder. I'd better dig around here a bit more and see what I turn up. Mr. Valent, let me ask about something else concerning the crime scene, namely the number of pistols?
Yes.
How many pistols were there when you entered the room? By which you mean what, precisely?
See, I think that, like, in a regular court, that could be considered a leading question. Because, like, the way he said that, like, was assuming that there was more than one, which the court only knows about one, so, like...
Yeah, you could just say, like, were there, like, describe the room when you walked in?
Yeah, like, describe what was on the table or something
yeah, what
like
was
that.
on the table, yeah.
Yeah.
But this isn't a normal court and people lie on the stand here and no one gets in trouble for it. Also, obstruction of justice is big here.
Oh, yeah.
People are obstructing justice literally right now.
Yep.
2 pistols were used in the Zach and Valent Crick Draw shoot-'em, correct? One for each of you? You are well informed, yet only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night. What did Zach tell me back in the lobby? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we just saw this. Yeah, we had no intention. Yeah.
Yeah, he pocketed the pistol after he shot the clown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see no problem with that statement. Only one pistol is visible in the photograph of the crime scene, after all.
So you picked up that pistol and fired it? Indeed I did. Alakazam, alakazang, alakaboom.
Is the number of pistols really so important?
Quite important, actually. I think the number of guns at a crime scene.
Yeah.
The number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor.
Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony.
What can I do but obey?
Okay. So, let's present the stage pistol.
According to the defendant, Zach Gremery, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on that table.
2?
One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head. Well, what about what Mr. Valent has told us? You see, there is something about his testimony that doesn't make sense. What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown. That's your story, at least. Huh? But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Valent. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with the bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match. Mr. Valent, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead.
That should have been it. Case closed.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone go home. Call it a day.
Yeah.
Well, this is all rather sudden.
Oh, my God. What have I done?
Prosecutor Gavin.
I owe the court an apology.
Did you fucking tell us the wrong information, you shithead?
I hate you. Sorry. Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proved the type of gun that fired them.
That's not how those work.
No, it's unique to the barrel due to the
Yeah.
repeated firing of the gun. Oh my gosh. But that's not what you told us before. You said you verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you now. Quite sincerely, I might add.
Oh my God.
Would you hold me accountable for a mistake I made in my youth? You are.
Please, I'm just a little baby.
We can't ooh, I'm a little baby out of this one, boy.
He's doing the fucking bottom eyes.
You can't
You
can't see them because he's wearing sunglasses
Yeah.
inside in court.
Ugh.
That was just this morning. I am still young. And I might add, it wasn't really my fault. If the defendant had only admitted he took 1 pistol from the scene of the crime, we would not be having this pleasant discussion now.
Valent Gremery.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were presented to this court as a decisive witness, but you've proven to be more divisive than decisive. Good one, Judge. I have to laugh at my own jokes.
How does his hair do that? You'll see in time.
How many years' time?
The testimony so far has been merely a review of the facts. The proof comes next.
Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin?
No. When Mr. Valent entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, Herr Wright, the real fight is about to begin. Bring it.
Very well. The witness will now bring it to the court. Help us determine who shot what.
Who shot what?
I arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation, then called in the doctor. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. He was quite clear about the time of death, 11:10 p.m. And the only one in the room at that time was my partner, not me.
Those times are rather close, you have to admit. You're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi.
It is easy to explain in this situation, Herr Judge. For example, take our debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Cue the song, press the play button, it will play for 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, the result is the same. Their debut single is only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. What a ripoff.
That's like the average pop song, though, I feel like. No, anyway.
Actually, I was listening. This has been something about pop songs have been getting shorter. Magic is a world of utmost precision. Hocus Pocus requires admirable focus.
Oh, I love that song, Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Stop rhyming. Everyone step away from the rhyme.
No, it's an actual song called Hocus Pocus, and it is by the band Focus.
I did not know it was by Focus. I knew there was a song called Hocus Pocus. That's wild.
So it's a song reference, I'm sure of it.
It's okay. Okay. That's her third one this case.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the time of death determined by the doctor, there was an incontrovertible truth.
Very well. The prosecution warns us that we're dealing with rather precise times. And we can expect the cross-examination to require the same level of precision.
I would hope the defense refrained from its customarily broad, sweeping accusations. Lest we blur the focus this case so clearly demands.
Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright.
Carry on. Right.
Carry on,
Carry
right.
on
That's
my-
what I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry on, my not wayward quite yet lawyer. All right. So, we're going to see the.
Oh, I just realized all the magicians have card suits as their little
They
pins.
do. They do.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? It's a fun little touch.
It's a fun little thing, huh? I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb here to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so precise with the time?
We do usually only get an estimated time of death, true.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he was connected to some sort of heart monitor that may have.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death.
Magic reveals in making the complex appear simple, but reality is the opposite. What appears complex in this case is a simple matter of subtraction.
I see another person has done their arithmetic homework.
The point here is the IV the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what we had heard earlier about the victim Magnify Grammarized schedule. Every night at 11, Magnify took an IV drip for 30 minutes.
I can see the IV bag right there, yes.
Now look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end.
Ah, the needle's been removed.
Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot.
Okay.
That would seem to be the case.
When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. Ah, you could just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions, for our purposes, as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. From the amount of remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began.
IV report added to the court record.
And so it was when I, Valand, entered that room. 10 minutes had passed since that horrible crime was committed. And this is proof.
Well, Mr. Wright.
Did that seem important? Yeah! Very
Yeah,
important.
a little bit.
Well, seeing how this is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important.
Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time.
A heart monitor. Like there's so
Yeah,
many.
There's so many.
Behold the power of arithmetic.
That's a good screenshot. We love math here.
Very well. The witness will add this detail to his testimony.
Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth.
Okay.
Let's
Can you
see.
read this?
Oh, yeah.
statement?
The water of life springs not eternal. The remaining IV liquid proves my innocence.
Sure, bud.
Okay, buddy.
All right, we're gonna press you on that though.
Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When I first entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then his left arm did I spy, a rose drooping and wilted. Its thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot, luckily for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect.
Yeah, that's up.
Undoubtedly so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color? Indeed, even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self. For it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valent won their first Magician's Grand Prix, yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians, I was adorned in this attire then, too, and today, our trophy, a bust. Ah, what a day it was.
That's a callback to the second game.
Really? This is one trip down memory lane no one need. Yeah, I agree.
Because it's also the worst game in the whole series.
My lucky color, yes indeed, and that IV too. I say I think it was hued especially for me, Valorant.
That does seem to be the case indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony?
Valent sure looks happy with himself. Okay, how about this lucky color testimony?
Yeah, there's a contradiction there.
Yeah, there's a problem there. It certainly sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck. But not this time. Mr. Valent, your lucky colors betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost to me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence.
What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I hope this latest accusation is well-based.
Don't worry, I've got all your bases right here. All your bases are fine.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, I assure you it's quite based.
Anyway, I assure you it's quite based.
Very well, let's hear the defense's claim. Where is your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valent has told us?
Let's check this.
That IV fluid looks green to me.
It looks green to me.
That looks green to me.
Hey.
Sir, are you colorblind?
Okay, all right. There we go. Here you go.
The crime scene tells all, Your Honor.
The photo of the crime scene.
All this talk of color has me yearning for a black and white, clear-cut simplicity.
That's an unhealthy attitude to have.
Yeah, I mean, he's 17. Tell us, Herr Wright, just where is the contradiction in this photo? My pleasure, and I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white.
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. For the third time.
All right. Well, we know where the contradiction is. It's the IV bag.
Valiant Grammari, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes. What a mystery, my dude! You look like Big Bird!
Yeah. Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright?
Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at the photo of the crime scene. Everyone look at the photo again. Hold it in your mind.
What's this?
Confusion, no doubt. Tell us, what do your elderly eyes spy? Wow, rude.
What do your elf eyes see?
Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valiant. Look at that IV bag.
What is this? What foul magic? It would be hard to call the IV liquid yellow. And I'm afraid no magic was involved in taking of this photograph. Alec, no! Bunnies?
I love that. Order, order, order. What does this mean?
This is some kind of mistake.
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin. Your witness's mistake.
The greener they are, the harder they fall. I suppose there's no substitute for experience. Valiant Grammari, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but this IV is clearly not. Well, this contradiction can only mean one thing. And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright. What is happening?
Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin, again. As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does contradict his evidence.
Yes, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright. Dude, let the case go. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree, at a glance, the IV liquid does appear a sort of greenish yellow.
It's green.
Really stretching the definition of greenish.
It's green.
But I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow. The IV bag's blue.
Yeah.
Yellow liquid, how can you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green.
Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook?
It looks like I want to say, light blue.
Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put a yellow liquid in a blue bag and you get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color.
I see. Your explanation does have the ring of truth to it.
But it would still look green. As I thought. There's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave, for you, that is. Grave? The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did this witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, How did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Alec, no!
Actually, that was Alakazomg.
Alakazom! What was okay, enough with these words.
It's just so 2007 that I had to.
Order, order, order. Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid, so I'm sure it means something, but what?
I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valent Grammari, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because he'd seen it looked yellow. Did he switch the back? Is it?
He knew the liquid's color itself, I think.
Is it he knew the liquid's color?
Yeah, he'd seen it before, or he knew the IV liquid's color.
Okay. From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before. But not inside the blue bag as we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag.
I'm not sure what this means.
Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor. I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV's liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah? The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin.
I remember it well.
However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag.
Wait, I know! An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right.
Close, but no. As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body. At which point, like magic, it disappears.
So you're not a doctor, just to be clear.
No, this man never been to medical school because that's not what happens with an IV.
Definitely not.
However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in. Let me get this straight, Herr Wright. You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? Not with water, but with IV liquid. Oh, ugh. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. Now wait. Wait, I said wait. How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task? I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup.
I'm a pro at that.
I'm afraid there's quite a difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite. Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat?
He has a point, amateurs. I, at least, would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag, but you know what? I'd give it a shot. I'm a hobbyist.
You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face.
Again, inadmissible, but sure.
Yeah, you can't use this. He added liquid to that IV to throw off the time of death. I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us down to earth?
Valent Grammari. I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime. Actually, several movies about how it does great.
Yeah.
Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was certainly able to increase the amount of liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, And the prop was the tiny needle, the insulin needle.
Yeah.
The victim's syringe.
It's the perfect prop for magically increasing IV trick. And easy enough for an amateur to use. What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it.
Isn't the absence of liquid just proof?
Oh my God. And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had this syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Valiant Grammar Eye?
That's what we call a turnabout, but unfortunately not this one.
Oh, okay. As you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you could manipulate at will. Alakazag! Obsessed with just the flowers and the bunnies coming out of nowhere.
I love it. It's so good.
I do believe, well, with this being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today.
Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. I can do a little much-needed investigation work.
I see there are no objections.
Okay. Gee, I wonder who could it be?
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. What is a word to the wise. Underestimate the young and they'll sweep your feet out from under you. In a way you'll never, ever expected. You'll see, I know exactly what you're thinking. Huh? What's he talking about? You say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid. But there's no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it? Nor was this witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This, I admit, after all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much?
You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin.
Proof, Herr Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim, Magnify Grammar Eye's diary. Diary? After going to the hospital, Magnify began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end, quite appropriately, with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we?
All right, it says, tonight's IV is in, maybe the last. I leave the rest to them. The first should come soon. This journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. And I can't read the rest. Hold on.
That depends on his hand.
All that depends on his hand. All that is left to mine is... Okay, come on.
Is to lay down this pen.
The court accepts this into evidence.
Okay.
Read the very last part with particular care.
Let's make sure that we know. No, that's the page that we got. Oof.
Oh no. Huh, weird. This is the last page. The diary ends here. Huh? What's this? It looks like a page was ripped out? Well, now isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is pretty
Weird.
interesting. Yeah, because we did find a page.
Huh.
Interesting. Okay.
This journal may end here, or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Grammeri.
That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor after all.
But look at what he said before that. This journal may end here, or it may go on. It may go on. Magnify Grammeri intended to write again. That is, if Zach Grammeri didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnify's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zach Grammeri.
Big words from big man. There we go.
All right.
Order, order, order. Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Magnify Grammeri wrote this?
There is no mistaking his handwriting.
Well, this does seem to be significant.
According to this, Magnify did intend to continue his diary. Yet if his diary ended here, which plainly it did,
Then the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Grammeri. Well, how do you like me now, Hair Right? Still too green for your tastes? He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with his previous evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, the witness's testimony we heard was lacking, but put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case.
If the diary is accepted like this, the trial's over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. Show up, like, we have a weird ripped out page of a diary just lying around.
yeah, I'm sure that it's not related at all.
I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence.
What?
And it came from a real trusted source, right?
Yeah, it came from a little girl.
A weird little girl, the most trusted of sources.
You have some evidence that overturns this diary?
It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment.
More like embarrassment.
Oh, right, embarrassment. God.
Just for the pun.
This game will not leave me alone.
Very well, please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I've just shown to the court. Now that we've come this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing in his diary. All right, I'd be happy to. The decisive evidence proving that this diary didn't end with this page is a ripped out piece of paper we got from a little girl. First, take a close look at this diary. Note that a page has been ripped out.
What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all.
Wow, Judge. That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page. Alika, I don't believe it! Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine the first visitor that night shot Magnify Grammeri. That's the defense's position.
Wait, let me see that.
It seems fate's clock will make me wait a little longer. At least only less than 10 swift minutes remain. To all those who have supported me in my life's work, I give thanks. Farewell.
What in Sam Hill? Why, this is the continuation of the victim's diary.
Yeah, it's really convenient.
Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remnants of the last page in Magnify's diary. Quite remarkable. Would you care to explain what all this means, Herr Attorney? The diary continued after the first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Grammeri left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Valiant Grammeri. No!
The handwriting too matches on the other pages. This is without a doubt the genuine article.
Oh, this is such a cruel joke.
It is. This is bad.
Order. I know what's coming and I just... Okay.
But wait, that's impossible. That old man couldn't have written that.
Yeah.
Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Herr Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Herr Judge?
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin.
Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness.
But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses.
I ask only to put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor.
Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this?
Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway. So it might as well be sooner.
Then, though this is highly irregular, we will put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring this surprise witness to the courtroom.
All right. Here he is.
I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around.
Oh, who's this?
Holding trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin.
I beg the court's understanding. But I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal? The detail of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room.
Very well. And you are the witness, I gather? Yes, sir.
State your name and occupation for the record.
My name's Drew Misham. I'm a painter. A painter? And you are somehow related to this case? No. Well, not per se.
I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is?
Oh, yeah, I know it well.
How's that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made it.
You what? You made it?
Yes, you might call it one of my works.
The prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Grammeri.
Illegal evidence?
I initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Misham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making a perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries?
Well, so we are to understand that this page here is...
A fake. Prepared by a certain defense attorney. Well, now hold on just a moment. Hold it. I didn't prepare this evidence.
Objection,
The attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume, but what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented the evidence to us, Phoenix, right?
Witness, Mr. Misham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client? That, I don't know.
What?
Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
But there's no proof this is a fake.
It's a fake.
Huh.
To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt this is mine.
Ripperoni.
Like, here's the thing. I wonder who that call to the prosecutor's office was from.
Yeah, who could have done that?
Who could have done that?
Hey, who would do that?
Mr. Wright, you have just presented illegal evidence to this court, my court.
It was careless of me. That's all I can say. Oh, old boy. Here. What's this? I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important. It was all a trap, a fatal trap.
Mr. Wright,
Yes,
do you have an explanation for yourself?
if I did, would the court hear it?
Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime, and presenting it in court, a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney.
Fatal too, perhaps for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one. Your Honor, wait. I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime. But you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual.
I am sorry, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor? Another close call, I dare say. If the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself further.
I see no need for further discussion on this matter. Special witness dismissed.
It's a very serious moment, Clavier, and you still said embarrass.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes.
could I ask your name?
Phoenix Wright.
Mr. Wright, I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I'll remember you, Mr. Wright.
Fascinating little man. I I wonder if someone...
Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must... Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Zack. There is one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict when your defendant does not exist? Doesn't exist? What are you talking about? I am talking about this!
Oh, yeah. Mr. Enigmar? The defendant escaped. Find him, quick.
Bailiff, close all exits from the building.
He's...
On the double, he must not be allowed to escape.
Anyway, he escaped.
Yeah, I see that Clavier hasn't developed sticking his leg out all the way in court yet.
Yeah.
That day, in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shady Enigmar, aka Zack Gramarye, did not just escape from court. He literally, unbelievably, vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again. Not since that day. I don't...
This is the Gramarye miracle!
We just had a case with that name in it.
Yep.
No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Zack Gramarye vanished, along with him for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however. But not until 7 years later. No wonder Clavier's having a little bit of a breakdown in court.
Yeah. I think he's starting to realize some of the things he assumed were correct were, in fact, very incorrect.
What's it like to figure out your brother's a terrible person?
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. And thank you for joining us.
We'll see you later. So glad I'm done doing a 3-way talk back speech thing.